What happens when two of the world's biggest economies collide? The result? A global ripple effect that impacts businesses, consumers, and entire nations. This is the story of the US-China trade war, how it began, why it matters, and where it might be heading. Stay with us as we break down one of the most significant economic confrontations of the 21st century. The roots of the US-China trade conflict go back decades. Since China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001, its economy has exploded, growing at a rapid pace and becoming a global manufacturing powerhouse. The United States, meanwhile, saw an increasing trade deficit with China, importing far more than it exported. Many American industries felt the heat, blaming cheap Chinese goods for job losses and factory shutdowns. But it wasn't just about numbers. The US accused China of unfair trade practices, from intellectual property theft to forced technology transfers and heavy state subsidies.
So, if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes.
The real showdown began in 2018. Under President Donald Trump, the US took a confrontational approach. The administration imposed tariffs on $34 billion worth of Chinese goods, citing a need to protect American industries and fix unfair trade practices. China didn't stay silent. It responded with tariffs of its own, targeting American soybeans, automobiles, and other key exports. This tit-for-tat escalated quickly. By the end of 2019, the US had imposed tariffs on over $360 billion worth of Chinese goods. China responded with tariffs on over $110 billion of US goods. The trade war didn't just hurt China and the US. It disrupted global supply chains, raised prices for consumers, and created uncertainty in markets worldwide. Tech companies, farmers, and manufacturers were among the hardest hit. US farmers lost access to Chinese markets. American tech companies faced export restrictions, and global investors began to worry about the impact on economic growth. Countries caught in between had to pick sides or find ways to navigate the tension. In January 2020, there was a breakthrough, the Phase 1 deal. China agreed to increase its purchases of US goods and services by $200 billion over 2 years. In return, the US agreed to reduce some tariffs. But the deal didn't address many of the core issues like state subsidies or intellectual property enforcement. And then the COVID-19 pandemic hit. Global trade slowed, priorities shifted, and the trade war was placed on the back burner, but it never really ended. When President Joe Biden took office in 2021, many expected a reset in US-China relations. But instead of removing Trump-era tariffs, the Biden administration kept them, while emphasizing alliances and multilateral pressure on China. The administration shifted the focus to strategic competition, especially in areas like semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and clean energy. Instead of just tariffs, export bans and investment restrictions were added to the mix, particularly targeting Chinese tech giants like Huawei. As of 2025, the trade tensions between the US and China still linger. While open conflict has cooled, economic competition has intensified.
Breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news. That's what's going to happen. What other presidents allow China to get away with is absolutely criminal, but I'm not like the other presidents, and it's not going to happen under President Trump. It's just not going to happen. After all of the abuses they've perpetrated, China's attempting to impose additional unjustified tariffs. Just so you understand, they all got rich because of tariffs. Now when we do it, oh, it's so terrible what Trump is doing. It's so terrible. They got rich. And not only China, many countries. I mean, you look at Vietnam, you look at so many, I could name 50 right now. Biden couldn't do that. He couldn't name any. Name one country. Name any country. What's the name of our country? He doesn't know. That's why additional tariffs on Chinese goods are in place effective midnight tonight at 104%. Until they make a deal with us, that's what it's going to be. I think they'll make a deal at some point. China will They want to make a deal. They really do. They want to make a deal. They just don't know how to get it started.
China is pushing for technological self-reliance. The US is tightening export controls. Both nations are investing heavily in future industries, from AI to renewable energy, but global supply chains remain interlinked. Neither country can completely decouple without major consequences. The US-China trade war isn't just about trade. It's about power, influence, and the race for global leadership in the 21st century. What began as a battle over tariffs has evolved into a broader geopolitical contest, one that could shape the future of economics, technology, and international diplomacy. For now, businesses, governments, and consumers are left navigating a world where two giants continue to compete, not just for markets, but for dominance. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay informed.